Okay. Right, thank you, everybody. If the AGM before was kind of main course, this is the dessert you've been waiting for. It's going to be a very interesting talk, I'm sure. I'm happy to welcome today Birtan Demirel, who is a scholar here at St. Anne's, teaching neurophysiology, I had to read that correctly, and is a holder of one of our graduate development scholarships. I think it's fair to say, I was looking at his biography, he's completed numerous degrees all across Europe, and now we're very lucky to have him here doing his DPhil at St. Anne's. Birtan is interested in speech motor impairments and how acute stress, physiology, cognitive functions and emotions affect speech production. I'm not going to say any more than that because I know that he is going to tell you lots more about his research and field of expertise. Thank you again, Birtan, for joining us. Welcome, and over to you for Spread the Word.
Good morning, everyone. I feel honored to be here with all of you today, and I'm looking forward to our interactions after my talk. Being someone who stammers myself, there are times when words and syllables find it difficult to part from me. Perhaps they enjoy my company so much that they wish to linger a little longer. However, today, I am eager to share with you the ways I have developed to let words flow more freely during my presentations. First, we would like to start with a brief introduction of stammering. Stammering is a neurodevelopmental condition affecting 5% of children and persisting in 1% of adults. There are nearly 70 million people who stammer around the world. Stammering presents a unique challenge for psychology and neuroscience, since language proficiency is unaffected in people who stammer. Hence, people who stammer know precisely what they wish to say, but at the time are unable to say because of involuntary repetitions or blocks. More interestingly, people who stammer can increase their speech fluency by changing their speech production. For example, singing. You probably witnessed that people who stammer sing fluently without stammering. There are more conditions which increase fluency immediately, such as talking alone or aligning the speech with an external cue. When these two are combined, one can give a public speaking stammer-free, as I am doing now. I will come to that shortly. Unfortunately, stammering often results in diminished opportunities in education and employment, and can lead to increased levels of social anxiety and a compromised quality of life. As of now, there is no known established treatment capable of fully eliminating this fluency in individuals with stammering. There are several well-known individuals who stammer, such as Emily Blunt, Joe Biden, Samuel L. Jackson, Ed Sheeran, King George VI. You may have seen the King's Speech, a movie depicting the life of King George VI, illustrating the challenges he faced due to his stammer, especially given his many public speaking engagements. Joe Biden also has a stammer, although it is so mild that one must pay close attention to his speech to detect any stammered utterances. I have immense respect for these individuals who excel in their public roles, likely expending additional unseen effort to achieve fluency. However, they likely have experienced a mild form of stammering. My research primarily focuses on moderate to strong stammering. For example, having a strong stammer can pose barriers to accessing fundamental human rights, such as obtaining healthcare. Recently, the British Stammering Association conducted a survey related to making GP bookings. Over 300 people who stammer responded to the survey, revealing that 41% of the respondents who stammer reported finding it very difficult to use the phone to book an appointment, compared to 23% of those who are typically fluent speakers. 54% of people who stammer experienced mental distress when using the phone to make appointments. Let's watch a video to illustrate this more clearly. This video, available on YouTube, features an individual with a stammer attempting to book an appointment over the phone. I believe this video effectively demonstrates the nature of stammering and encapsulates the focus of my research. Okay. It is difficult to talk when there is communicative pressure. The frequency of stammered sounds may be influenced by different factors, including the presence of an audience and mentalizing on the audience expectations, hesitancy of accurate and appropriate information transfer in a related context, negative self and social evaluation, and time pressure. These factors can be subsumed under the term communicative pressure, which may interfere with a fragile speech motor control system as a cognitive load. As I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, there are many fluency enhancers, such as singing, but two are related to my current research, which I will explain now. Talking alone fluency enhancers means that people who stammer become more fluent when they are alone and talk to themselves. This is what makes stammering a great puzzle. For example, research group from New York University showed that adults who stammer do not stammer during private speech when they talk to themselves aloud rather than propositional speech directed to another agent. Perhaps the explanation lies in social cognition, which helps us to think about others' feelings and thoughts and what others may expect of how one should behave. Since propositional speech is a goal-directed behavior, social cognitive networks in the brain may interfere with switching that mode on. On the other hand, choral speech refers to speaking in unison with another person. So imagine that someone who stammers speaks exactly the same words in synchrony with someone else. In that case, they become fluent. So my research idea is simple. If you combine choral speech with talking alone fluency enhancer, you can eliminate stammering using your own natural voice tone during your presentations. Combining these two fluency enhancers is the explanation of how I am giving my talk stammer-free now. As a person who stammers myself, here is how I do it. First, I recorded my voice when there was no one around, since I don't stammer when I am alone. And then I simply listen to my voice recording via headphones while giving my talk. The method increases my fluency significantly without changing the way I speak notably. It allows me to speak using my natural voice, which is how I mostly sound when I speak or read alone. Native speakers, some journalists, and presidents usually read their speeches through a paper or a prompter, as I am reading my speech too. We have been testing this idea to see if we can generalize this method to other people who stammer. Therefore, in my research, I kindly ask participants who stammer to make an audio recording of themselves by reading a story that I sent them. I tell them, please make the recording when you are on your own. There should be no audience or anyone who can hear you while recording. When participants come to the experimental psychology department, I ask them to imagine themselves as news presenters and deliver their talk while listening to their audio recordings. Initially, they often smile in disbelief, but after presenting a lengthy text fluently, they start to believe they could indeed become accomplished news presenters. If someone stammers, even when they are alone, I kindly ask them to use a text-to-speech decoder to listen to their speech through the application instead of their own recording. This may be the simplest yet most significant research study I am conducting. So far, 5 out of 7 participants have successfully utilized the method, and I couldn't be prouder. Data collection is currently underway, and I aim to conclude this research by the new year. I look forward to publishing the results soon. Demonstrating the success of this method could offer many people who stammer the option to eliminate stammering during public presentations, wedding speeches, telephone bookings, teachings, news presentations on national TV. I love stretching the horizons. I would also like to show you how I normally speak in my daily life conversations that you will witness soon. Is how I speak normally. It seems like just yesterday when I first developed this method to enhance my fluency in presentations, which was about a year and a half ago. I had received an invitation from my scholarship provider, the Dominic Barker Trust, to speak at their fundraising event. Despite my lack of experience in delivering speeches, I accepted. It was perhaps the challenge that arose after saying yes that led me to discover this method. Subsequently, employing this method enabled me to deliver a speech fluently in that event for the first time in my life in front of 100 people. Far from experiencing an anxiety, I now relish every moment of public speaking. But still, there is a long way to go. We are dedicated to exploring the neurobiology of stammering and enhancing speech fluency in everyday conversations for those wishing to improve their speech fluency. I am conducting further studies utilizing advanced neuroimaging methods to accomplish these goals. In one of our studies, we are utilizing magnetoencephalography to investigate the brain activity of neurons just before someone who stammers begins to speak, to discover differences between stammered and fluent speech. In another research, we are using a unique type of brain stimulation, transcranial alternating current stimulation, with a novel protocol to explore if we can improve speech motor learning, initially targeting those who are typically fluent. This potential enhancement could benefit people who stammer in the future. Brain stimulation techniques have been successfully used in areas like improving muscle control for stroke survivors or improving mood, cognition, pain management, memory, and so many other things to improve lives. We hope to use it for stammering as well. In addition to brain imaging studies, we are also conducting a behavioral study to assess how speech fluency changes during virtual reality memory tasks. Before I conclude, I must express my profound gratitude to the Dominic Barker Trust, my scholarship provider, for making my academic journey in Oxford possible. Without their support, I could not have achieved what I have today. Additionally, I am immensely thankful to St. Anne's College for its graduate development scholarship, which has significantly enriched my experience in Oxford. The support from both these entities has been instrumental in my academic pursuits and development. I will do my best to understand and change the world in a better way. Thank you very much for listening to me.
I'd like to keep that gratitude going. I think a massive thank you from us on behalf of everyone here and St. Anne's. That was absolutely fascinating and inspirational. And I'm glad that after that first public speaking event that you did, that you now relish every opportunity, because we very much enjoyed that. Thank you. We've got a little something to say thank you to you. And then if you'd like to take a couple of questions here, I know that you're also staying with us for the rest of the day, joining us for dinner, and there'll be refreshments outside. So time for 2 questions, shall we say, here, and then outside for refreshments in the atrium area. Sure.
I have a very short question, actually. Do you find in your studies that stammering affects men and women in equal measure?
Actually, it is not the case. Men are affected more than women, and the ratio is around 1/4.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, so there are much more men who stammer than women. And yeah, we don't know the reason for it.
I'm interested in the aspect of singing.
Yeah.
Why is it that people don't stammer? Is it to do with breath control? Is it to do with where you're producing your voice? What is it about singing?
Yeah. It's a very good question, and we are not 100% sure of that, but one of the reasons could be that the music gives an external cue, and you can align your voice with the external cue, and you don't have to rely on your own movement initiation cues. So also the metronome pacey pitch helps fluency when I go with a metronome pace tone. So so yeah, it isn't perhaps we use a different speech motor network in our brain, which is not habitual way of speaking, which is stammering. Please.
And I think that's partly because I know the steps that the bids go up. I might announce not reading what it is, and I start on the numbers, so it goes 100, 110, 120, 220, 240, 260, and I'm completely relaxed. There could be hundreds of people, and it doesn't bother me. But it's partly like a script, and I wonder if it's a bit like actors when they know what they've got to say.
Yeah.
Does that help? Do you also my brother was also an introvert. He also started life with so bad a stammer, he had to be sent into treatment.
Yeah.
I just wondered if that was
Yeah. It is very fascinating, and it has lots of mysteries that we need to find out, I think, about stammering yet. And because of that, I love my job. Actually, it is like exploring the most complicated object of the universe, which is the human brain, and working on that is so fascinating. And stammering is also very interesting.
And I'm going to be selfish and take the final question.
Yeah,
before
please.
we end. One of the things that was really interesting from your talk was the way in which anticipating and mentalizing kind of your interlocutor's thoughts and predicting them it leads to a stammer. My question, and I think it popped up at the end of the video where you showed us natural speech, there were some tips for being a better interlocutor when you were speaking to somebody with a stammer. Could you share what those were? Popped up at the end.
So as a listener, what would I suggest to listeners?
Exactly that.
Okay, so I think that eye contact is important, and yeah, I think waiting until the sentence is over is also important without finishing their sentences, because I think that what we say is more important than how we say it. So, but I also appreciate that encountering with a different situation is not so easy sometimes, but it is like a new accent. So after a while, I think we get used to that, how they how we speak and see how we listen to that. And yeah, this could be the tips. I think I can give eye contact and waiting until the sentence is finished.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Victoria,